one of the agenda. Dual credit, there's 100,000 students in the San Antonio area, and we only have about 20% of that enrolled in dual credit. So there's a large number there, right? And how we approach that, I think we really need to talk about that with faculty and how we hire and move forward. What does that plan really look like? I think we've largely done this without a plan. And so what does the plan look like if that's the largest target that we're going to be facing, right? How do we make that discussion?
No, I did skip that a little bit. So we're going to fast track to approval of the minutes. So the minutes were sent out earlier, and we are minutes to look them over, and then we will look for a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
And the seconds. Thank you. The minutes are approved. Now the awards and certificates are also
Hi, everybody. My name is Karen Davison from the English department.
sounds good. Point. Perhaps we do first, and then Bell, and I'm off.
I'm Troy Touchette from Peter.
Can they hear? Yes.
Isabel Garcia, I'm the secretary this spring, but I'll be rolling off.
I'm Lisa Ramos. I'm in history, just finishing my first year on the faculty senate. I'm also with Mexican American Studies. Welcome to all the members.
Luis Rodriguez, Natural Sciences, and have one more year.
Lab English, and this is my second year.
I'm Ryan. I teach biology. So
He's the coordinator for Zoom and the world. Yeah, he's doing a great job.
I'm Megan Chafan, and I'm in math. My first
turn my phone on. Yeah. it's kind of clear.
My computer's up.
All right, test. Can y'all hear me on Zoom? All right, you're being asked
Yes.
to introduce yourselves. Good luck.
Yes, thank you.
All right, anybody can start off.
I'll start. Hi, I'm Vic Rodriguez with Student Development, and this is my first Faculty Senate meeting. I'm filling a previously vacated spot.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hunt. I'm in speech and I would be there, but I'm sick today. Sorry, guys.
I'm Dee Joseph. I'm in the CIS department. And along with a lot of other faculty packing to move to who knows where.
I'm Karen Douglas, Psychology Department.
I'm Dr. Linda Robertson Shula with the Psychology Department as well. And I've served 2 terms back to back, and I will be rolling off. This will be my last meeting with the Faculty Senate, and also as the liaison, Faculty Senate liaison for the Psychology Department. I will pass the baton to Dr. Karen Douglas.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go. For those who are new this meeting, I'm Amanda Martin, and I have a seat on the Senate as representative for the Adjunct Faculty Council. I'm the current chair. And we have one other of our members taking a second seat currently, that is Mr. Vaughn.
Hi, I'm David Vaughn. I'm the other adjunct faculty member, and I'm also in the English department.
I'll go. I'm Bea Bettis. I'm with Sociology, and this is my second year on the Senate.
Cool. Thanks, everybody, right? Thanks, y'all.
Jessica.
Oh, Jessica? Jessica? Nope, no Jessica. All right.
So for
Hola.
attended the committee of the meeting on April 9th. The meeting started, there were no citizens to be heard at this meeting. And a long time was spent with presentations from student trustees who were closing out their year of service, just kind of reflecting on all of their and then they mentioned community outreach events. So this was right after the eclipse. So we mentioned all the fun things that happened at Northwest Vista. And then during the chancellor's report, the faculty evaluation platform was mentioned, but it wasn't mentioned by name. It was just said that, you know, one platform has been identified. The individual presenting was very excited by this platform, excited by how, you know, much of an impact it would have on things like yearly evaluations. And it sounded like it could also work with, if you were to apply for multiple but I know in a meeting, Liz Ann, you mentioned a little bit of it was a little strange. Like they never said the name of the platform, and that's something we talked about quite a bit, because it just seemed a little vague and mysterious, and like platform is, I guess. I don't know. And then I don't think, and then let's see, the First Responders Academy presented on their 40X WIG accomplishments. We talked about high school programs for a while, which I didn't know we had. These high school programs are not dual credit, like it's totally different. This is something that's been around for like 20 years, and it sounds really, really cool, and I had no idea where these students are bused from their school and they get more like lots of really hands-on experiences at several of the colleges. But they have to work really hard. They said some of these students wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and they're missing out on like normal high school things like marching band or sports perhaps. They're giving up a lot to do this these high school programs. They mentioned one of the board members said we really need to like not lose momentum in this program. So they seemed excited by that. And then it was like 8 o'clock and I had to put my kids to bed. So that was that was it. Yeah.
One comment in reference to Dr. Rodriguez stating that the evaluation tool would actually be available in January.
It's not working right now.
Oh, it's not.
Sorry. Yeah, they're working on it.
It is, I mean, that does concern me in terms of our faculty member revision. Because we're still going to have the same content of the 1 week there until that, but that'll be part of the extension. And other than that, the KPIs presented, there was some key performance. And specifically, you know, trying to get the district to be the best in the state and the best in the nation. Rather than having some faculty be still on faculty behavior, confidence can be responsible. Pilot, we're hoping that this will be instituted by and Dr. Sewell, swings, would we, be allowed to have, I know that when in fact it's 180 was piloted, there was an extension for the faculty to have, just to make sure that.
It's gonna come in and do the next thing, right? Here.
So extension, why did you summer? 'Cause that's
So many things we're going to.
Yeah.
They don't want to risk losing. And so you're also keeping the 180. But I said, we'd like to go heavy on the highways and that's on 180. Rather than, because they're asking for a small pocket. And that almost like stay here. Any kind of word like heavy on the pilot and low on the. So that's what we're actually doing.
Thank you. I just wanted to ensure that the faculty have enough time to complete it because I'm in that pool as well.
Yeah.
But I would say, whatever we can do, we cannot get any faculty to vote. When I started in 2015, I had to do 2 faculty 180s, and that was in the six. So whatever we do, please don't have anyone to vote. It's too much time. And then for the regular board meeting, I think we can do.
So, for the, April 16th meeting, the trustees were discussing some. They approved for the May 4th board election. So, there is one seat up for grabs if anyone lives in District 6. There's 2 people vying for that seat, so we can decide. We also approved a new veteran center for the Northeast Region. There's some other figures that we did for various things. And then they also approved the 3-year multi-year contracts. So then the board only reported 113 faculty being approved in the fall. We'll be starting with the 3-year contracts. If you're interested in the breakdown, so most of them were from Vista, 42, 40 from St. Philip's, Palo Alto 14, Lakeview 8 faculty members, and SAC 8. And let's see, you'll all be relieved to know that we've all been reappointed for next year. You're getting 2 new administrators. So nursing is getting administrator and designated both at Palo Alto. I'm suggesting that we don't know what to call this thing. If it was previously faculty 180, maybe we should call it faculty 260.
And if you want to echo, for everybody to take part in the election process. Obviously, we're not going to advocate anyone. Do you have an update on the release on your faculty and leadership? Located at USS, the United Faculty Center, which is the committee of the 5 faculty and presidents of the colleges. We got together and we did propose the districts offer an additional 3 institutional release hours for the student officer positions to allocate as being necessary for those office positions. It seems to have been received well. But we did the owners, that is the past and yes.
And did you ask for, are those institutional release hours then? Right. What I've heard about again, I've heard a lot of positive things for those who were.
Trying to make sure they have a solid plan for what it's gonna look like for us at our institutions. So that will hopefully be ready for a pilot this spring, but it may be, again, something that we don't see in full implementation until next year. And then finally, we will be moving into the faculty senate leadership elections. So we have, again, 3 positions up for nomination. We had for the president position, I believe only one person has put their name in the hat tentatively. And that is Julie Engel. And so her name.
No, they should be able to hear you now.
Okay. Did somebody say something so we know you all hear us? Someone was on Zoom? Jeff?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you, but it was fading in and out, so I don't know.
So, to reiterate, we are about to hold our officer elections. Those of you in Zoom, you should see a link in chat from Megan. She has requested that you submit. You click on that link and submit your vote. Ooh, I was about to tip over. It's wobbly a little bit. There we go.
Jeff, the question was asked if this is anonymous, if it says name, or do we either way?
It should be anonymous. So elections are, for officers are anonymous.
Okay, where could she send that link, please, so we can vote?
It should be in your email inbox.
Responded to email with the agenda. I just replied all.
Okay, so my apologies, I misspoke. It's an email ballot. Please open your email inbox and click on the link sent from Megan Shaban. I think I get to vote on this one too. Oh, no, wait, I don't because I'm rolling off.
Oh, so anyone,
So
Anyone rolling on?
Well, Jen, I'm rolling off too, so those of us that are rolling off, we don't
Yeah.
get to vote, is that correct?
I believe that is correct. Yes, so those of us who are rolling off of Senate, please refrain from using that ballot.
Cool.
The
Very
new,
good.
folks, however, are welcome to cast their vote. It's gonna be a tight race. Yes, Lisa Ramos. We had the microphone going back and forth, sorry.
I think I interrupted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This one too.
We still have to hold the election. We need a quorum. Okay. There we go.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
No, it's blinking.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry. Julie Engel has 17 votes for president. Mercedes Alves has 18 votes for vice president, and Lisa Ramos has 17 votes for secretary. Please welcome our new officers.
So, congratulations.
She's just popular. More popular.
All right, well, congratulations to our new officers. I have a microphone here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So congratulations to our new officers, and I will make myself available to you to sort of help with a continuation of efforts and make sure that we're not losing any of the old business as we move from the spring semester into the fall semester. There are some items that we want to make sure that we're continuing to address as we continue forward through our changing of the guard. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to the previous officers, and we are happy to help. We are working on putting together some documentation, a sort of playbook, if you will, to make sure that you have an idea of who to contact for accessing funds, for example, so that we don't have you having to reinvent the wheel. So again, congratulations, and I look forward to seeing the good work that you do next year.
Thank you for all the work you all have done as well.
So now we're gonna be moving into the council updates and committee updates. So next up is Adjunct Faculty Council with Amanda Martin.
Okay. This will be brief. We had our last meeting at the end of April and basically setting up for what we're looking into for the summer. Most of the summer, we're going to be finishing off the nomination period and selection of the recipients for the Adjuncts Creating Excellence Award. There's still time to turn in nominations till the end of the month, so keep that in mind. And we will also be working toward, by the time fall rolls around, having a draft of the handbook material we've been working on. So those will be our two main priorities over the summer. And that's all I really have to report right now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next up, the committee updates. So for curriculum, we have no reports. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Communication, we have no reports. Elections and surveys, technically we just had a report. Policy and procedures.
So on behalf of our policy and procedures committee, I want to mention point number 1, the submission. Thank you. I want to just mention that we are going to be submitting this faculty handbook revised with it's now entitled Living Document. I love Jeff Hunt's suggestion. So we're quoting this as a living document because we have several items that unfortunately have not been addressed. We're still pending. I had given some of the administrators and directors a deadline of the 29th, and I have not received any follow-up. I have received with the first batch of emails that I did send. I did receive some, but some were still pending. And I know that we're towards the end of the semester, and of course, other items take priority. So I'm assuming that I will follow up and send another message at the end of next week and try to gather as much information as I am able to so that this could be submitted. I'm looking probably at a late May submission because I just want to ensure that this information be updated. But overall, I commend my committee members because they've done an outstanding job. And with that, here are the other items. So I'm glad that Dr. Hillskimper is here because I did reference to him earlier this week. I didn't want to cause an alarm or panic for our department, but I did want to relay to him that we needed to come back to being in compliance with the chair evaluation. And I know Professor Rodriguez just mentioned that he did talk to the administration earlier this morning. So that's one thing that is pending. And there's several items unfortunately, within the SAC faculty handbook, but within board policy that we had not been following. And another thing is I have it here. It's under the D.7.1.2 under faculty performance evaluations. There's also the specific evaluation process where we have to have a formal session. And that's item number 2. A formal session between faculty and supervisor or chairperson will be done at the beginning of the academic year, but it lists a variety of items that, yes, we have perhaps had departmental meetings at the beginning during convocation week, but have all of these items been addressed? And the reference to this is that this was the last amended date by the board in June 24th of 2021. So the chair evaluation that unfortunately has not been followed up with, that was also an earlier last amended date. And that's something that I know is is going to be addressed. It's just, we want to make sure that as faculty members, we remain in compliance, as well as our chairs, as well as the college, the institution. So with that, I also wanted to make reference to something in this, and I'm glad that both Dr. Mahoti and Dr. Solis are present, because there is one item that I found to be interesting in reference to at the board meeting where board member Kinsberry raised a question to Dr. Bower Owens, and I'm assuming both of you were present, where he asked, how does the faculty know the process for promotion? I believe he directed that. And Dr. Bower Owens responded that she said that the colleges, of course, through the Faculty Senate, the information would be disseminated. But I was thinking that perhaps there could be some avenue in which the administration could support a perhaps meeting that all faculty do attend at least once a year in terms of policy and procedure for promotion purposes, for appeals purposes, that be reviewed by HR present, and I think it's something that is important for all faculty to know, because not everyone, unfortunately, is reading this, the policy, the board policy every year to make sure that there is an update. And not everybody is reading the SAC faculty handbook too. So perhaps some kind of a informative meeting. It doesn't have to be as long. Perhaps maybe if we went to extend it to twice a year, but just to get updated on the different policies that we have to adhere to as faculty members. And also, I also want to reference those things that were done in the past through HR, where they would prepare faculty for retirement. I know that in conversation with some of our, professors who have retired, some of them were still completing paperwork 9 months after they've retired, and that truly should not be happening. We want to make sure that it's a pleasant exit, as they go on to retirement, and there are certain things that do have to be revisited, and that's just something that you hear. But it does go into policy and procedure. And that's just one thing that I do want to make comment. And I don't know if Dr. Hillskemper, would you like to say something? Do you need a microphone? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Aguilar, for bringing this to our department's attention. In terms of the compliance on the timeline, I've spoken with my previous chair, Dr. Irvin, who's still in the department, and with Dean Lee. And their approach is basically, yes, compliance is important and we'll make it a priority. We're already out of compliance if you look at the documents that I think Dr. Aguilar shared before. So that being the case, the mission is to just get back in compliance coming into the summer and into next year.
Absolutely. And did you want to add anything, Dr.
No, I
Seuss?
mean, we talked about this.
Oh, yes.
We spoke about this because it was on one of our topics earlier too, and we completely agree. Let's get back into compliance as soon as possible. The other thing about the handbook, thank you so much, because as you know, we're going to go through accreditation. It's going to have to be published and on time, right? This is one of the artifacts they'll be looking at. And so if I could offer, before you send the next email out to those people who haven't helped, maybe we could have Dr. Jones also collaborate with you on the email about the necessity for completing the handbook. We've got to have it printed and it's got to be available through SACs. And so maybe if they had, some other help or support on your email with some names about who needs to get those revisions in, we've got to get it done. And Dr. Seabrook is moving, Dr. Jones is moving into the final stages now. In fall, we'll begin actually, so all summer we'll be collecting evidence. If you've not been involved, the first go round is the evidence and finding the holes if you want. Then the second section is kind of writing to any holes we might have. And then the third is dotting the I's and crossing the T's, right? And then publishing the documents. So we've got a timeline for all of that to happen, but the evidence will have to be the handbook. It's just, at first you just go and there's a long list of artifacts you've got to have. You start pulling them. Then when we pull and there's not one, then you start saying, oh, where is it? So we'll work on that. Sure.
most definitely. It's just, of course, trying to gather the updated information and trying to, I truly do want to share things. And I think what kind of something for those policy makers. That has to be addressed because the state that animals are not supposed to be, on campus, but yet have the friends of SAC cats that now is supporting. I mean, we've had these individuals, administrators and staff members eating them. So that too has to be noted.
There's certain elements of the handbook that Sally you're looking at and, when did this happen and who's in charge of this?
Sure, and just like, I don't know if you all know about the PPAC process, right? Where all of the policies of the district go under review within 5 years. And that's what we've got to kind of create so that the documents don't fall out of review and out of date, is once put them on a cycle, right? Then there's some accountability about how often these go through. So we really definitely need this.
I have to also thank Senate President Caraway for providing us with Professor Katz information from St. Philip's College. That is, a great example, best practices to follow in terms of the chair evaluation process.
Great.
So that's
She
something
shared that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I am wondering if, speaking to your request on a information dissemination each semester, I think convocation week would be an excellent opportunity to have those kinds of meetings. I know the committee that puts together convocation week sometimes is looking for folks who want to have presentations. And I think this would be a great opportunity to bring up a session that would be hugely beneficial to faculty. So that, thank you again. And thank you to all of the policy and procedure for your work with the handbook. It's a big task and you've done a lot of good work.
Anything else or chat?
Is there anything else to add? Okay. Okay, and then for the service hours report, I think, Luis, do you think you could speak to that?
Yeah, so we met with Dr. Solis, Dr. Rincones, and the Faculty Senate leadership team here this morning. And so just to review, for those of you that may not be aware of the policy, back in 2017, I think it was the Academic Council that voted in 15 hours of service to the college for faculty. And we tried to make the case this morning that we thought that that was maybe a little much and that interferes with a lot of the duties that the faculty actually have to do. So I think that we agreed in principle, with Dr. Solis agreed with us that this needs to be looked at and reduced. One thing that I would urge the Senate to do is because of the summer break, this probably has to go before the College Council again. And so I'd like to make a motion that we charge the new president with kind of shepherding this initiative forward so that we don't forget about it and it doesn't fall through the cracks.
So the motion.
I think that to be clear about the reduction, right? I think that there were 2 points we kind of settled on. One is that we're clear the 15 teaching hours and the 10 office hours are not part of the conversation. So that we're really just looking at the 15. Then when it comes to the 15, my suggestion was, could we create a rubric right, about what that is. And so that instead of having people write and write and write about the justification, they fill out this rubric and it just says, it's in this category, it's in this topic, check, check, and send it forward, right? Because when I look at the, I don't know how that's kind of distributed. And so if it goes to one dean, I might have to have 5 pages and I'm reading and reading and reading for the final approval. And then someone else read 3 lines and they got approved. So somewhere in there has to be a balance about the amount of work in filling out this form. If we could just get to a rubric that would say, this is the type of thing. The other thing is, I think it's on our part as well, the administration's part, that when we're creating some of this release, that the release is justified. So that we go to, because, you know, there's a big debate about who gets release and the hours. So that when we're creating, let's say, and I'm just going to use this as an example, Julie and Julinda, when they're in the learning assessment and they get the release, that it's the administration who should say, this is what it's for, so that Julie and Julinda aren't writing to that, because we're already creating the position, it should come with the hours. Does that make sense what I'm trying to do? So then the faculty just go in and check the boxes and say, hey, this is what it's under. And then I guess if somebody would need an appeal or something, we could write more, but it doesn't seem like that distribution is all there. So there's that. And then the other part is just, you know, what is the purpose? We kept trying to get back to the why. So one of the things was we said, I think Lenny presented it as, if you look at the number of hours, the 15, it's 37% that someone is asking you to do outside of your job, right? And I don't know any other job where someone says, well, this is your job, but for 37%, could you do this, right? So could we keep it? Could we keep a number of what it is? And so I think we agreed it's more about 10%, which is 4 hours, right? And so that then the ask is 4 hours. And the final recommendation came about not less than 4 hours committee work. So that then on the other items, you could put in this same block of 15 are grading papers, checking, you know, the other class activities that you do, so that we don't have to rewrite the whole 15 again, if that makes sense. I think that was the discussion, Dr. Rodriguez.
To just add on to that, it is about recognizing that we do put in about 90% of our time addressing coursework specifically. And it is important to contribute to the college, to be engaged with the college's efforts. So we do want to make sure that we're committing to some participation in that. And that's where keeping that portion of service still comes in. But we do want to also acknowledge, again, as a teaching institution, we still have to prioritize our students. And by introducing a clarification, because we do have some bullet points listed out, we have another set of bullet points that clarify creating new instructional documents, grading papers, revising exams, additional office hours, extra office hours for students who cannot make it to your regular office hours. Those would fall under that service, those 15 hours as well, so that we don't have to completely redo the 15 hours, but rather do a subsection of that. I think that was kind of where we started moving towards. And have the not less than 4 to those initial categories, and then have the rest of your service be allocated as you need it. But I think this has been a long time coming, and thank you to the committee members who were serving on this, Luis, Lenny, and Patricia. It was a long-standing concern, and I think that we are getting some good traction here. But yes, so there was a motion to charge the next president, who will be Julie Engel, to bring up this proposal at the next college council for San Antonio College in the fall. Do we have any discussion on the matter before we go forward? Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Multiple. All right, so the motion carries. All right, do we have any other items from the policy and procedures before we move into the next one? Okay, thank you again for all your hard work. So moving into some old business, the dual credit issues, we do want to put together a sort of ad hoc committee to address some of the concerns that have been coming to us from dual credit faculty. And while it might be a little bit late in the semester to put together an ad hoc now, this is something that I want to make sure that we address going forward. So I am going to recommend that the next Senate meeting have a call for nominations to an ad hoc committee. Okay. So I don't know if that needs to be an official charge or not. Mhm. And given how spread thin the current committee members were with research and policy and procedures, I think next semester is going to be a good time to get that ball rolling. Yeah, curriculum committee would be a good one. Program coordinator workload and compensation. Is Frances here? I think she was the one who brought up this issue. Okay.
Let me just get to a better location.
Okay.
Thank you. Today's my remote day. Can you hear me okay? There's just been a growing concern for a while now about the heavy workload I am not personally a coordinator. I did serve for a short period of time as a co-coordinator in my program, in my department. And it's across the board that in most cases, it is just extremely large amount of work. So the only thing that, and I'm sure everybody has some ideas, I'd love to, hear input at some point, is how to problem solve, how to fix it. Could we start having two coordinators, doing like a co-coordinator to share those duties and even share the hours that are afforded? I forget what they're called. There's a name for that, the hours. It's just like what you were outlining, all the grading time, the meetings, everything on top of coordinating. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for coordinators most of the time, especially when they come on brand new on board and see all the responsibilities. It can be quite overwhelming. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have.
Megan?
Thank you.
I think there's. I'd love to.
So to follow up on that, I'm the math coordinator. And I just 100,000% agree with everything that Frances said. It would be so great if we had a list of expectations for coordinators. I've heard so many people say like coordinators are now doing the chair role and the chairs are doing and it's, I came into this coordinator role pretty fresh and there was no list of the job summaries. I just say yes to everything they asked me to do. And it just gets more and more and more. And actually my release time has actually gone down. And I feel like it's not fair to have the same amount of release time across programs either, because, like we have different number of classes. So even like the common task of completing SAC scores looks very different for me than it does for someone else, because we have so many courses and because some of our courses are below 70%. And for every single outcome of below 70%, I have to create a report. So it's just, I would love it if we could, I don't know, if it could improve. Yeah.
There's a lot of work to go around, and I think the suggestion of, especially for the larger departments, having more than just one coordinator is beneficial. I think in natural sciences, we had 2 coordinators. And that, even that might not be enough. This is something that I know that in past conversations, Dr. Ancones has indicated that it's on their radar. It is something that they do want to address. I just, we faculty members are very much behind addressing this issue, because the folks who are working as our supervisors, who are putting together these courses, they're doing really good work, and we're overtaxing a lot of them, and we want to avoid doing that. There's a question in the.
I'm not sure that it has anything to do really with the size of the department. I think it just depends on the duties afforded to that coordinator. I think even there might be a thought process to think about, if somebody's coming on for the first time as a new coordinator, to have a, co-pilot to share duties, not necessarily in relation to the size of the department.
Kim, you want to go?
Yes. For a long time, I've thought that we should follow some history of SAC. Remember when we had the Chairs Council? Could we not have a Coordinators Council where we could discuss our working conditions and workloads? I think we're not communicating with one another enough. And I just think we need to get together.
Agreed. 100%.
Even if we have a convocation meeting fall and spring, that would be excellent. And we could talk about our our SAC scores duties, and how to better share those with colleagues.
And then Jeff, sorry, Megan.
I agree with Kim, and I will tell you, the coordinators in our department feel quite isolated in their misery, in their workload. And I've said, well, don't you ever meet with other coordinators? So I think, Kim, that's a great idea. But remember when we had Linda Boyer Owens here from HR, and I said, something that needs to be on your radar is the duties of the coordinator, because they're not even called the same thing at the other colleges. So it's really inconsistent, which is going to create a problem eventually at the HR level. And to be honest also, now my chair is telling our coordinators that they are our supervisors, which now the coordinators don't want to be a coordinator anymore because they don't want to be the supervisor. So it's very confusing, and I think the chairs are even a little confused about what the role is.
I think that's very accurate. Megan.
This is just like,
Like there is a lot I enjoy about being a coordinator, but also, like, if I were trying to step back, like I really feel like I'm trapped because no one else wants to do it. And I feel bad because I want to serve, I want to help my people out and help my faculty in my program. But like, if we could set term limits on the coordinator positions so that I don't feel stuck, and there were options, and there is a lot that I do love. Like, I love helping my faculty. Like, I love my math faculty, but yeah, I really do feel trapped at the same time.
Very, very accurate.
Or if it was such a great role, everybody wanted to do it, right? So can't that be the goal? Can't we work to the goal? One thing I'd ask on both of these is the dual credit and the program coordinator. Let's not work in isolation. So I'll speak to Dr. Rincones on both of these. We need this to be a constant topic on the cabinet level, right? But we need to build a report out so that while you're doing your work, what I don't want to happen is we're going to wait till next year at the end of the year to come up with a report that's going to take another year to implement, right? So if we're working simultaneously and at least there's report outs as we're moving forward, we have an option to change sooner, right? And to bring some resolve easier. It's just like the past one. I think we were noticing the date of beginning of the conversation was in 2017, and we're still talking about it today because we can't bring some resolution. Let's not create a system that happens again. Let's I don't want to tell you how to structure your committees, but if that committee, part of the responsibility could be that we at the cabinet level have a report as well, so that we're constantly on this topic as we're moving forward, if that makes any sense. The other thing that I've really noticed is that the sooner this can get through EFC, the quicker we're going to get a resolve. So even though it looks like it might be a SAC topic, it's really not. Program coordinators are program coordinators throughout the district. We need a singular definition as we move forward. The way to do that is to move it through the district, right? Because then the board really responds quickly. So, Eric, sorry. So if we could just work together is all I'm saying. Let's just work together as we're moving rather than at the end. Because the end, it's just, then it's time for implementation and it just takes so much longer.
I just wanted to speak in support of not only my own coordinators, but I think across the school as well. One of the most common conversations I have with my coordinators, who are all fantastic, by the way. One of the most common conversations is, okay, do you want to do that or should I? And we're sharing the work, which is great. We work very well as a team, but it's a fact that the definitions are quite fluid, which is why we have to have that question come back all the time. And when your role is fluid and poorly defined, you're never done coordinating, because what is it to finish my task? Well, I don't know what all my tasks are or aren't, so I'm never done. So the workload kind of stems from that lack of definition. And while all my coordinators are fantastic, it is a fact that we work in that fluidity, and it's harder. It's more work. So yeah, I would support that.
That is exactly what I was just about to say, that what ends up happening because of the workload that they have, whether it's part of their job duties or not, it ends up bleeding over into other faculty members. For a prime example, I just recently ran an advisory meeting, which is really the coordinator's responsibility. And I was happy to do it, but it does spill over into other faculty members. And so I agree, it needs to be completely defined, and then we can explore other ways to solve it. But thank you, because that you just said exactly what was on my mind.
We have
Quiet for too long. Well, I was just wondering. I was just wondering, since it's the Wild West right now when it comes to coordinator, sometimes dean and chair positions and their duties, until a district figures things out, do you think anything could be done at the administrative level here at SAC until they finally make a decision? Because it's
moves forward with a suggestion rather than doing the work all over again. So that's why most of the time, right, they'll say, we'll do it the SAC way, because SAC's already got some suggestion to move forward on. So if we're the first, and then I have a feeling though, when the other deans here were doing this work, they're going to want it in as well as they're moving it forward, because this is a district-wide problem. I mean, this is not just us. The definition and responsibilities of these positions. And so I think everybody is looking for the solution rather than carrying the conversation through another year.
okay. So until the district can make a decision, can we somehow formalize it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think that we need, you all have a charge to formalize a committee. We're going to have a charge to formalize a response committee on our side, and we start moving it forward on both of these, the dual credit. Because the dual credit too is moving so fast, it's happening and we're responding to it rather than carrying a plan. And so what we need is, what is the plan for dual credit if we're going to, if that's our largest increase in enrollment?
And Dr. Solis, one of the items that came up with our conversation of the Policy and Procedures Committee is the description of the job. That, I think that has to be the beginning
Yeah, it's the beginning.
specifically, because everyone wants to know what the job entails, and that job description is not actually accurate in terms of what people are doing.
Yeah, I think on any assessment, it'll start with what's reality and then where we're moving to.
And I believe there was a request to do an executive session. I don't know who requested it, but I was gonna say, given the content of the resolution, I think we need to meet only as faculty with all due respect.
No, no,
Thank you again for
Great.
being here with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Solis, and Chair Hilsenberg. Thank you.
Thank you for staying here. Thank you.
So thank you. And so we are going to ask any folks who are either in group or who are in the Zoom session, who are not senators to please sit.